Good morning, Year 5s, and welcome to your online learning. I know it is a bit strange to see your teachers on YouTube, but I hope you enjoy our lessons that we have planned for you. We're going to start our day with reading, so I'm going to share my screen now, and you can have a look and see which reading group you need to look out for. So if you are in Mrs. James's reading group, you are going to look for the picture with the 1 chili. If you are in Mrs. Pitt's reading group, you will look for the 2 chilies. And if you are in mine or Miss Malvena's reading group, you will look for the 3 chilies. Those children who do reading eggs with Miss Brittle, you can stop the video now and you can go and log onto your Reading Eggs account and do your Reading Eggs program and those lessons. So those children who are in Mrs. James's reading group, you have been reading the book The Twits, and she has sent you some work for you to do today. You can go onto YouTube and Google the ebook of The Twits and listen to some of the story. And you are going to focus on these words today. So we've got swooping, ravens, whizzed, brutes, and ornaments, and glimpse. And I would like you now to pause the video and have a go at trying to define these words for me. So what do you think these words mean? Write them out for me now. Right, I hope you've had a go at those meanings, and here they are. So swooping means to fly downwards. Ravens are types of birds. Whizzed means to move very quickly. Brutes means someone who's not very nice, quite mean or nasty. Ornaments are those pretty things you display around your house. And glimpse means to have a little peek. And I would like you to choose 2 of those words now that you've learned about, and can you write them in a sentence for me? So you can pause the video now and write those 2 words in the sentence. If you are in Mrs. Pitt's group, you are reading the novel Why the Whales Came. Again, I have added that you can go and Google this on YouTube, and you're going to be looking at chapter 11 today. So, although you are not in your groups at school and you can't work together in your pairs, I would like you now to have a go at answering these questions for me. So please can you pause your video, have a go at these questions after listening to chapter 11, which you can just Google on YouTube and see if you can answer these questions. Great, I hope you found that quite easy. Here are the answers that Mrs. Pitt has given. So have a look at if they match yours, and you can pause the video now and match them up to your questions. Great, well, those of you who are in Miss Malvena's and my reading group, we have been reading the book Pig Heart Boy, and we're going to be reading the next few pages together. So you can follow with me, which is on the page, and I am going to read with you. It'd be nice if you read this out aloud as well, hopefully in a room somewhere where you're not going to distract somebody else, and you can read this out so you can practice your reading as well. That's a lie. Who said I did? I scowled at him. No one, but my eyeballs work just fine. She obviously likes you as well. Why don't you ask her out? I looked around quickly, but Andrew and Bran were too busy talking to hear our conversation. They were discussing how best to copy my homework. So why don't you ask her out? Marlin repeated. Shh, keep your voice down, I begged. Besides, if she said yes, I think it was because I'm ill. And if she said no, I think it was because I'm ill. Marlin gave me a look. It must be hard work being you. It is, I agreed. Oh, before I forget, here you are. I dug into my bag and took out a crumpled piece of paper. What's this? Asked Marlin. The maths homework. I copied it out for you. Marlin grinned at me and snatched it out of my hand. You're welcome, I said dryly. Oh, Cameron, can I have a word? I turned my head. Sticky Stewart, our class teacher, came running up to me. We all called him Sticky because his back because he was tall and lanky and reminded everyone of a stick insect. To be honest, I was the one who'd come up with the nickname. I'd only meant it as a joke. I hadn't expected it to take off the way it had. Yes, sir, I frowned. Can I have a word? Mr. Stewart repeated. He looked pointedly at Marlon, Andrew and Bran, who were walking with me, in private. Cam, we'll see you in class, Marlon said to me, giving the teacher a suspicious look. I watched as my friends walked away before turning back to the teacher. I've heard from your mum and dad that you'll be away from next week and for some considerable time. I froze. What had mum and dad said? And why hadn't they warned me first? You're going to have a heart transplant, right? I nodded. Would you mind if I told the rest of the class? I'm sure they'd all like to join me in wishing you the very best of luck. What else did mum and dad say? I asked. Mr. Stewart raised his eyebrows. What, that was it really? Why, is there anything else? No, I said quickly. So can I tell the class? I shrugged. Yes, I guess so. Good. Mr. Stewart beetled off before I had a chance to change my mind, which I was just about to do. He bounced across the school grounds with that loping, leaping walk of his, and I knew that even if I ran after him, I'd never catch up with him. What was wrong with letting the class know that I was going to have a heart transplant? Only Marlon knew the true, full facts, and he wouldn't say anything. So why was I so upset with the rest of the class knowing about my operation? Maybe I didn't want them feeling sorry for me. Maybe I didn't want them thinking I was even more feeble than I really was. But that was silly. You could be super duper fit and still need an operation. Look at all the footballers and boxers and the like who had operations all the time. So why was I so upset? Still trying to work it out, I made my way to class. I was in the corridor only about 3 meters away from my classroom when I saw the worst face in the world. I didn't bother to hide the groan that passed through my entire body. Look who it isn't, Mr. Muscles himself. Here we go again, I sighed. Travis Cross, the year-hard nut, had spotted me and was now heading straight for me, followed by his cronies. Just behind him, Marlon came out of the classroom. What do you want, Travis? I asked warily. A look at a real, live, walking, talking weed, Travis told me. Travis, haven't you got something better to do? Marlon scoffed. Like stick your head in a food processor or something? Marlon to the rescue again. Travis gave me such a look of contempt that I flinched in spite of myself. I can take care of myself, I told him, and Marlon. Yeah, right, Travis and his morons creased up laughing at that. One puff and we could blow you over. Blow you over. Blow you down the corridor, more like. You can try, I said, squaring up to him. You're not even a challenge, Travis said with disgust. It'll be like taking sweets from a baby, hardly worth my while. Bog off then, Marlon told him. Travis carried on walking, deliberately barging into me, and to my shame he did almost knock me over. Marlon rushed forward to help me. I brushed him aside and I straightened up. I'm all right, I said impatiently. Don't fuss, I'm okay. Marlon backed off immediately. Come on then, before we're late, he said. I turned to watch Travis and his friends laughing as they sauntered down the corridor. At that moment, I really hated Travis and his friends. I followed Marlon into the class, wondering if I'd always be so ineffectual. Travis was right, I was a weed. How are you feeling? Marlon asked. Fine, I said brusquely. Even though I was reading through the last remaining piece of homework I'd been left with, I could sense that Marlon was still watching me. I frowned at him. What's the problem? Cameron, whatever happens, we will always be friends, won't we? Said Marlon. Where did that come from? I asked, surprised. We will always be friends, right? Of course, I replied. Why would we stop being friends? And at that moment, Mr. Stewart entered the room. Settle down, everyone, he called out. You're my best friend, Cam, said Marlon. I wouldn't want anything to change that. Marlon, why? Quiet, please. I said, quiet, please. Mr. Stewart yelled at the top of his lungs to make himself heard. I just wanted to say, Marlon whispered to me. I'm sorry, Marlon. Am I disturbing your conversation? Mr. Stewart was a sarky old trout, but at that moment he did make me laugh. Sorry, sir, Marlon mumbled. That's better. Mr. Stewart nodded with satisfaction. Now then, I have an important announcement to make. This is Cameron's last day at school for a while. He's going into hospital next week to have a heart transplant. Marlon gasped beside me. I glanced at him, then found it hard to turn away from the shocked expression on his face. Right, and we're going to stop there. So I have taken out a few words that are from the text we've just read together. And I would like you now to go and see if you can write down the meaning of what you think these words mean. And then I would like you to pause the video and do this, and then we'll go through the answers in a moment. So good luck. Right, now that you've had a moment to go through the words and hopefully write down some of the things that some of the meanings to the words, we're going to have a look together at what these words actually mean. So scold means to frown. Okay, so you scolded him, you frowned at him. You crumple up something, it means you crush it, like you crumple the paper, and generally you do it in your hand. Snatched is to grab and do it quite quickly, like he snatched it out of his hand. Lanky means tall and thin. If you are suspicious about somebody, you're a bit unsure about them. If you are feeble, you are quite a weak person. Deliberately, on purpose, doing something on purpose. If you saunter down the corridor, it means that you walk in a very slow, relaxed manner. And it's kind of got this sort of swag to it as well, kind of just walking down. And ineffectual means that you've got no power. You're very powerless and almost quite unsuccessful. Great, I hope you managed to get some of those words. What I would like you to do now is to pause the video and then choose 2 words that you would like to write in a sentence for me. So any 2 words out of the list that we've just given you, and write them in a sentence. Super, could you now take those words that we have learned and decide if they are a verb or an adjective? And hopefully you all know that a verb is now a doing word. Anything that you can do will be a verb, and anything that describes a noun is going to be our adjective. So I would like you now to arrange these words into the correct column. So if you think it's a verb, write it under the verb column, and if you think it's an adjective, write in the adjective. So you can pause the video now, and then you can arrange those words into its correct column. Super, I hope that all went well. Let's see how well you did. So here are the answers. And there's one word that we did not look at, and that was deliberately, which is on doing something on purpose. And does anybody think that they know what word class deliberately would go into? And I'll give you a clue. There's a big clue at the end of this word. What does this word end with? And what do most of this word class end? They end with this ly. So well done if you said it was an adverb, because an adverb describes a verb. So if you're doing something deliberately, you're doing it on purpose, and that is the action that you are describing. Great. So that is all for reading for today. I hope you enjoyed your lessons. I would like to encourage you to keep reading. This is a picture of Bentley. He is my dog, and my class have often heard stories about him. And he is very excited to know that you are reading at home and making sure that you're still doing your AR quizzes. And we will be monitoring to see who is keeping up with those tests and seeing who is going to be adding to their word count. So have a wonderful morning, and I will see you shortly for maths. Bye.